future, yes. All right, okay.
Yeah.
So, great to see you this afternoon, and thank you for showing an interest in this exchange. I'll first of all just introduce myself. I'm Sheena McGilvery, and I am the person responsible for the Fellowship or Friendship Exchange in District 1010. And also, I will say that Lisbeth, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm your, what should I say, colleague. I'm responsible for the Rotary Friendship Exchange in my district, 2340, as you can see.
Yes.
And I have done this for, I think it was in 2015 I started. Wow. You see, I have been in lots of exchanges, and this is why I'm still a Rotarian, because I like this idea, going abroad and meet people.
And I think that is one of the great things about Rotary, that we're scattered all over the world and we have tremendous opportunities to meet up with people in other districts, and that's one of the things. And can I also say that, Lisbeth, I am very grateful for your experience, because I have never actually done this. I've been involved in lots of exchanges in a education capacity as a teacher, but never actually done a Rotary.
We do it together.
Yes, we are. We're actually learning from one another. So, Leonie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. I'm Leonie Kiley. I am president nominee of Kirriemuir Rotary Club. I've been in the club for 5-6 years, something like that. My husband is also a Rotarian. He was first, but there you go. And he is past assistant governor of 1010.
Of one of the areas. One of the areas.
Anyway, one of the areas. I can't remember which one now.
I have actually met your husband. I remember him from a number of meetings. So
yes, once seen, never forgotten.
Yeah, nice to have you on board. And Ivor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Ivor Morton from the Rotary Club of Claverhouse, past president and marketing coordinator, and very interested in the concept of exchange. I used to be in Round Table, and we used to do quite a lot of the exchanges between the various national clubs. So it's always a very good time, and you get to know people that you've never met before, and it's always a great experience.
Yeah, I would agree.
I should have said we've hosted a lot of people from America, Australia, Canada, the curling clubs, but we've never gone anywhere else for whatever reason, because I was a teacher mainly, and it wasn't it was in my holiday. It wasn't my holidays, you know. So
one of the things I would say, Leonie, District 1010 is really, really popular. When I took over from Keith, I couldn't believe how many requests there were for a visit to our area. And you know, it was really good to see that a lot of people want to come to Scotland, and particularly to the north of Scotland. But when I took over from Keith, he told me that he's having trouble getting people to go to other countries. And we have a long-standing arrangement with, I think it's actually New Jersey. They've been here, but nobody wanted to go there. And it's a shame, because there are lots of possibilities of exchanges, and lots of areas do want to come here, and they would love us to go there as well. And I know that Elizabeth has said to me that the number of people wanting to come on this visit is actually more than the numbers that we've actually kind of anticipated for. So it's nice that you've actually now, having retired, taken the opportunity to think about that. That's really good. So I actually, being a teacher or former teacher, I have prepared the usual PowerPoint, so I'm going to try and share my screen. So see what if I can. Oh, Yeah, I think it's here.
It's because it's Sunday. It's a go slow.
I've actually kind of more or less done this. One of the reasons I put up this was Rotary connects the world, and it does open opportunities. And it really, even this year's theme, Imagine Rotary, definitely is very much a part of this. So I think if you've always been involved in things like this before, you'll have a brilliant idea that, you know, this is a tremendous opportunity to experience another culture. I've done this with school children. I've been in lots of countries of America, Malawi, various places like that. And I really got a different insight into another country and a lot of insight into, you know, a way of life that I don't think I would have experienced had it not been for my kind of links with them and actually staying in a family situation. And I've made friends that I've had, you know, and one of the things I'm hoping to do when I go to Sweden is actually to go via Denmark and actually meet up with some friends that I made actually in 2001 on an exchange visit. So I do think something like this is really important, but I also feel that exchanges are important in promoting international understanding and, as I said, developing new friendship. Now, this district has 2 links which are ongoing. The first one is with Sweden, but the second one is actually with a district in Australia, which is more or less the Gold Coast. And if you're interested in that, the people on the Gold Coast have actually prepared a little YouTube video which highlights what the area is like. It was in the hope that they would encourage us to visit. They were due to come and visit us in May 2020, and we were supposed to be going out in October 2020, but really there was only about 3 or 4 of us going. So I hope later on to promote that link a wee bit more. Normally the visits are about 12 days, and if you've been involved, Leonie, you'll kind of know that we normally get 3 or 4 clubs, and normally people stay 3 or 4 days in each of the club and move on. Now, the suggested date for the Swedish visit, for us to visit them, is the 15th to the 25th of August. Now, what we are actually suggesting is that we fly to Sweden before the start of the visit and have a couple of days in and around the capital. Now, our host, Lisbeth, said that she's very happy to arrange this. And having been to Stockholm, I think it's a lovely capital and there's loads to see. The Vasa, there's the ABBA Museum, there's the Parliament. When I was there was actually it was the King's birthday and there was a nice parade. But one of the things I loved was actually the boat trip round the islands. And I was there in May, but I'm sure in August it will be lovely. I don't know if you want to say anything about Stockholm, Lisbeth?
Do you mean if I can stay with you or? Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have a extra home out in the archipelago. So we are often in Stockholm.
Yeah.
And I have friends and even these exchanges, we have done very good tourism in Stockholm for at least 2 days.
Yeah.
So the idea on what you want. It's possible to do everything.
No, but I think there's so much to see, but I think it certainly would be good if people, obviously at their own expense, spent a couple of days in Stockholm. So really the visit would start like the 13th of August and have a couple of days to see the sights around Stockholm before we move on to the next part of the visit. If that's okay with you. And Elizabeth would suggest possible hotels and also suggest things towards guiding.
But it's not necessary to come earlier if you think it's 15, it's a Monday. And if it's easier for you to get a flight during the coming week, I mean, it's not exactly that date you have to come.
One of the things I'll do, Elizabeth, and when people confirm that they would like to come, we'll have a discussion about the exact dates so that we can firm these up with the people wanting to come and also with yourselves, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I stay in the archipelago and I go in and see you. Yeah, it's no problem for me. I could easily take you by train to Costa, my hometown, which is situated over 300 kilometers from Stockholm, just halfway to Oslo, Norway.
Yeah. Certainly would quite like to explore a bit more of that. So yeah, that's what we're thinking about, but we're also looking at the areas that you were planning to visit and the link up with the clubs in these areas. And Elizabeth, can I ask you to maybe explain where we would go after Stockholm?
To Karlstad. It's situated, as you write here, on the top of the Lake Vänern, which is the second largest, you say in English, sea. It is a rather big one with a beautiful archipelago, and maybe we can arrange something, a tour on the water here. Karlstad is, I think we have about 90,000 members in this town and the area around. We have lots of industries, mostly paper industries. So if you're interested in paper, big ones. And we have lots of culture, interesting things to see. And we have, of course, the nature. We have the big river. In English, it's called the Clear River. It comes up in the northern part of Sweden, goes into Norway, and then south during all our landscape, down through Lake Vänern, and then out in Gothenburg. So it's a very, very long river.
Okay. Actually,
last summer I swim in the river, but it's very strong. Very hard to swim there.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be trying it.
No, why not?
Yeah, well, I like the warmth, I'm afraid. And then, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, but we moved to an old town.
Yes, the very old town of Arboga.
Yeah.
Arboga.
Arboga.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
And there is a Rotary Club, and it happens to be the president has a bus company. So I think we will rent a bus from him and take you from Karlstad and stop at the Nobel Museum in Karlskoga. That were the home of Alfred Nobel. And it's very interesting visit. And then we can go to Arboga with the bus and stay there for some days. Yeah. And then finally go to Västerås.
Västerås.
Mm.
I'm afraid I don't know how to put the dots in top of the
letters. Yeah, I know you don't have it.
No.
But if I say a little about Arboga, it's a very old city, and here started the Swedish Parliament. I mean, we had a king. He went to Arboga, and they had the first Parliament meeting. It's old-fashioned, very beautiful, small town. And then to Västerås, it's not so far away, so it's easy to come there. Västerås is a very big city with ASEA, you know, about the big electric. It must have started electricity, but ASEA, they have robots all over the world. You can see ASEA. It's very famous, big industry. But they have lots of other things too, and it's old-fashioned in the city, a very beautiful city, and it's rather big.
Yes, I did look at the size of it, and you very kindly sent me some links that I will share with people about various places.
Please do, because it's easier to watch it on the computer.
Yes, so that you can find out a bit more about them.
And it's very easy to come from Västerås to Arlanda to go back home. It is buses, several buses a day, so it's not far away to Arlanda.
Yeah, so it's back to the airports where you can fly out. So we're suggesting 3 or 4 days in each location. One or two of the practicalities, I actually looked at flight details, and when I flew to Stockholm, I actually flew KLM from Aberdeen, Amsterdam, and then to Stockholm, and it took about just over 5 hours. There wasn't a long kind of layover in Amsterdam, and I think the Lufthansa flight is similar. But if you want a direct flight, you can fly SAS from Edinburgh straight to Stockholm. 1 or 2 of the SAS flights go through Copenhagen, but and if you want if you were flying from Aberdeen, you could actually do Aberdeen, Copenhagen, Stockholm. The Norwegian airline is a kind of cheaper airline, and it actually flies every day to Stockholm. I've actually flown them. We've flown to Oslo with them in the summer, and they were actually very good. They don't fly on a Saturday. I looked at their kind of schedule, and it looks as if they fly every day apart from Saturday. But that's something which certainly might be worth considering. And they fly direct from Edinburgh, which is good.
So it'd be arriving and leaving from Stockholm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Norwegian is certainly a company that I would look at if you're prepared to go to Edinburgh. The flight was very convenient. Normally what happens is, and Leonie, if you've been involved in this before, you'll know that you really just provide bread and breakfast, and your host makes you feel at home, and I'm sure we'll do that. Normally they kind of provide the occasional evening meal. What might happen, it might be you're going to a Rotary Club and you have your meal there. There could be a barbecue. I don't know, Leonie, when you've had hosted, what have they tended to do? Have they?
Yeah, we had, well, every time we've had various events in the evening, so it's just depended what we've organised for them. We've had barbecues. We often have had another host and their guests and us here for a meal, or we've gone with our foreigners, if you will, to another host's home, and we've shared things that way, and done a sort of bring and share evening meal, you know.
Well, that when we were organising for the Australians, that was something we were planning to do as well, and we were having our annual barbecue, you know, so there would be various occasions. We were also going to have a kind of games night where we would have snacking food as well, but you know, things like that can be arranged. But one thing that I would say to people, if we're going out for a meal, you're expected to pay for your own meal and not your host pay. I think that would be kind of normal. Normally what happens is the club will arrange a programme to take into your interests and to show you something about the area, and it doesn't have to be an expensive programme, but there are loads of activities. There's museums, there's walks, various things. But it's also interesting to find out about Rotary and what Rotary are doing in these areas, and maybe to pick up some hints of programmes and different activities that you can be involved in. I put in here questions. I thought, first of all, anything that you want to talk about the exchange part of the visit before I kind of look at what it's like to be the host?
You talk to me.
Anybody?
Yes. No.
Any questions?
No, it's pretty clear.
Pretty clear. That's fine.
I think it's very good to have plan for the visit and how many expenses you are expected to have. It's very good to put a number on this,
Yeah.
how much it will be.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, one year we were surprised when we were hosting, we were surprised at how much we were going to have to pay out ourselves for things.
Oh, that's not meaning. You shouldn't do that. No.
No. It was just the way this one was organized was different.
Yeah. But you have to look up and take care of every cost.
Yes.
Before the meeting. So I can send Sheena a program that I have done for some exchanges. So you can see how I split up the cost.
That would be excellent, Elizabeth. I think that would be a really good thing to have, because it would just give people an idea of what it's likely to cost them.
We went to the Lake District many years ago, and we decided to have the cost together. So we all members of this party put our money together for every expenses that we had been informed of. So one cashier paid everything, you know, when we arrived to a museum or something like that. So we didn't go and pay everyone each. It's easier to have one if it's possible. Depends on how much it is and how it works. But I think that was a splendid idea.
One of the groups, I can't remember which one, who came that we hosted, had organized it that way, so that there was just one person in charge of the money, which was handy.
Yeah. I think that sounds, I think, Elizabeth, you've got so much experience of this. I think it would be great to get you discussion with you and how we organise things. And that seems a very good suggestion. So we'll obviously look to that.
I do what I can.
Yes.
To help
Well,
you.
thank you. Yeah. Well, the other thing we were talking about was the return visit. And we're looking roughly at the same kind of length of period, possibly for the visitors coming into Edinburgh a couple of days earlier. And having given tours of Edinburgh to school kids and things in the past, I think I'd be quite happy to do that and to find accommodation, suitable accommodation for Rotarians from Sweden as well. But they would probably arrive in Edinburgh around about the 15th or 16th of September and then have the visit. But, you know, once we find the actual hosts, we'll discuss the dates and firm them up after that. What we're looking for is actually, I know that, Elizabeth, you've got a lot of people who want to come, a lot more than 12.
Yes.
But I think we have to kind of set a limit on something like 12, 6 couples, or if they're not couples, 2 people kind of possibly willing to share.
Oh, yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you, I think we really do have to set the limits. And I know that from the Australian exchange that we were thinking of doing, they had to cut down their numbers as well because they had so many people wanting to come to Scotland. The north of Scotland is very, very popular. So we're really looking about 3 clubs to host. Now, I did actually have 3 clubs when we were planning this before the kind of pandemic. And I'm hoping to kind of firm this up. One of them was Bankery, and I'm not sure what the position is in Bankery because Brian Boyd said to me that he was no longer interested. So I'm going to actually try over the next week or so to firm up which 3 clubs are prepared to host, and hopefully back to you after that. What we're doing is we're suggesting that they arrive in Edinburgh and possibly use the trains or the buses to travel north, if that's okay with you. unfortunately, just now we've got strikes in the railway, but we have good bus services to the north, and we also have a good train service normally. So it'd be trains and buses to travel around. And actually, to be honest, the train journey is really lovely. It's passing through some of the most amazing scenery in Scotland. Just to reiterate what it's involved in hosting, again, Leonie's probably more experienced than me at this, in providing bed and breakfast, providing the occasional evening meal, arranging a programme with myself, and trying to make sure that the 3 clubs that are hosting provide a variety of activities, not everybody doing the same, visiting a castle or whatever. I think that's actually quite important, that we have a variety in it, and make sure that it's not kind of boring. Activities can be walks, visits, barbecues, and not everything should involve a great expense, but we can organise possible costings and things in advance so that we know what's happening. And I know that when we were organising the visit with the Australians, we actually looked at some of the activities that we do in Rotary. For example, Rota Kids East Sutherland, we're going to do something with that. And my club was actually going to do something with Rotaract. We're actually going to have a games evening between ourselves and the visitors, and a kind of gavel type event, and it was going to be hosted by the Rotaractors, and that sounded quite fun and quite a bit of a different activity.
I think it's also good to bear in mind sometimes to give free time as well.
Yeah,
not to over plan it, because it's good to be able to go with what we've done before. We've often had people who have similar interests to us. For example, we like bird watching, and we have a couple of places around here we can take people to for bird watching. So if you've got a mutual interest, it's nice to have free time that you can respond to that with.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when we were planning the Australian visit, we actually did have at some time, it was a morning, I think, which allowed for activities and different activities which would interest and were shared by the people coming. So that's actually a very good thing. And Leonie, I will be looking to you for some advice as well when I come to put together the programme, because you've obviously got a lot of experience in that. All costs paid for. I think we talked about that before. Expensive activities need to be cleared with exchange coordinators so that it doesn't become too expensive for the visitors. So that's what I was kind of planning to.
Are you going, should we stay in Edinburgh for maybe 1 or 2 nights? What do you think?
There's so much to see in Edinburgh. I know that you've been to Edinburgh yourself. I think it certainly would be good to have a couple of full days in Edinburgh, if at all possible, because there are lots of things to see. There's the historic things, but there's also other kind of aspects as well of the
Are you able to fix a good price at a hotel?
We could. The problem, Edinburgh tends to be quite an expensive city. I have actually, believe it or not, stayed in the youth hostel with it was with Malawians in Edinburgh, and there's a very good youth hostel in Edinburgh with individual twin rooms and things like that, and it's worth actually looking at if you were quite happy to have that kind of accommodation. But
I think the other option is if you let us know the type of budget you want, we can try and get you as best a deal as we can in central Edinburgh. But an idea on budget would be good, and you can leave it with us, and we can give you options that you and present to you those options.
Okay. And then it's a good idea, just you said, Leonie, that there must be one day off. I mean, when you can spend the day with the family, just do whatever you want, and just you have to, what should I say, take a little break, because there are so many impressions. I know it for good. I had this South African here, and I had a couple in my home. And one day we had no program, and we were so lucky, all of us. So we just went out, walked in the forest.
Yes.
Nothing, I mean, no program. Very good idea.
Yeah, I think.
And I think also you need to remember that, you know, towards the end of the visit, some time to do washing and that sort of thing, you know, is useful.
Mm.
I think you need free time in each location.
Yeah.
If you're going to 3 locations, you have free time in each.
Mm.
And I think it would also be an advantage if there are only a limited number of couples, really quite a manageable number, just knowing the interests of those couples would be good news, because it can help us formulate a program which is going to be enjoyed to the maximum.
We've always had a wee biography of each person, you know, so we could say, well, they sound like our sort of person, and, you know, and match up in that sort of way. As I say, you know, people who like birding, bird watching, and wildlife,
representation,
and different things like that, you know.
Good idea.
I think that's a really good idea, and it's something which we'll certainly look at and try to produce something which we can share.
Yeah,
So,
it means that it's targeted rather than being general.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's really anything else. I'm actually going to email everybody with the, not just this link, but also the stuff that Lisbeth said, which gives more information about the various towns that we're visiting. And what I would hope to do over the next week or so is to actually get people to kind of firm up that they wish to go on this visit, and also try and firm up the clubs that want to host here. And from that, we'll have subsequent meetings to try and actually firm things up, and so that we can, for example, get the definite dates and book flights and things like that. That would be really good to do that. So all I can really say is, if there's no more questions, thank you for taking part today, and I'll send out more information over the next couple of days, and I'll try and get this video edited so that the first bit where I couldn't share my screen gets sorted. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. Well
how's the
done.
weather in Sweden, Elizabeth?
Pardon?
How's the weather in Sweden at the moment?
Oh, we don't talk about it.
Either we
have you got snow?
Yeah, in Stockholm area and south, it was a terrible snow weather. I think it's 1 week ago, and I saw from our house in the archipelago outside Stockholm that it was lots of snow left. Here in Karlstad, we have nothing, but it's gray, and even grayer.
Yeah,
it's
I know what you mean.
Bad. I won't go out. I sit in.
Ivor, we compared weather earlier on today when we spoke, and I had sun.
Yeah.
It was forest.
I was jealous.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
It will be better.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Right.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.